Yo, what's going on? My name is Teacher Michael, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different. I want to share with you a video that I made for Instagram TV. Instagram, if you don't already know, just released a new product last week called Instagram TV, which gives people the ability to create videos that are up to 10 minutes in length, which was not possible before. So I'm really excited about that. The videos that I've been creating for Instagram TV are a little bit more raw, I guess you could say. They are less edited than the ones that you'll find here on YouTube. And I recently started doing a little bit of a question and answer series, sort of like an Ask Me Anything. Now, these Instagram videos are vertical videos, so I do apologize for the formatting here on YouTube, but hopefully that doesn't take away from the content of the video. So we're gonna get into that video in just a moment, but I wanted to let you know, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, you can find me there. My handle is teacher__Michael, and that is the same for both Instagram and Instagram TV, and that is one of my favorite places to hang out online. So if you wanna connect, or if you have any questions for me that you'd like answered in the future, that is a great place to find me. Now, without further ado, let's get into my first question and answer video. This is gonna be a little bit more raw than some of my YouTube videos. I'm not gonna do any editing here. This is just one take. I'm gonna try and do it in one take, so let's see how it goes. So thank you so much, first of all, for anyone who asked me a question on Instagram. I'm gonna answer about 5 of them right now, and why don't I start with question number 1, which is, how did I first find out about VIPKid and what inspired me to start doing it? So the answer to that is that when I first found out about VIPKid, I had been traveling throughout the US for the previous 9 months. My other job, sort of my it's not even a real job. I work as a puppeteer, and I travel all over the United States and Canada performing puppet shows. So I had just come off a 9-month tour, and I didn't have any work lined up. And a friend of mine told me, hey, look, you've taught ESL before. I've just started with this company called VIPKid. She explained to me what it was all about, how flexible it was. And for me, it just seemed like the perfect thing that would fit in between puppeteering contracts. You know, in most jobs, you can't really take 2 or 3 months off at a time and then come back, and then take another month or 2 off and then come back. And this just really fit in with my lifestyle and what I was trying to accomplish. So that's how I learned about it, and that's what inspired me to do it. Question number 2 sort of leads off of that. The question was, can you tell us about your experience teaching overseas? And absolutely, I can. So my first introduction into like brick and mortar teaching, you know, being in a classroom, was a few years ago. I went over to South Korea, and I was teaching English in a public school system. So I was teaching grade 3, 4, 5, 6, and occasionally I got to teach kindergarten, which was amazing. They were the cutest little things in the world. They all had matching pajamas that they wore, these little yellow and blue pajamas. If you're happy and you know it, nod your head. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, nod your head. It was awesome. It was such a good experience. And I must qualify that by saying I was teaching in the public school system. So a lot of teachers that I've talked to that have gone over to South Korea, they were teaching at what is called a hagwon. And a hagwon is basically a private ESL institute. And the hagwon experiences all across the board vary dramatically. You get varying degrees of pay and living and work conditions. Like, it's all different because it's not regulated by the government. So my experience as a public school teacher was incredible. Yeah, so I would recommend that. The lesson plans, it was actually very much like VIPKid. All of the lesson material was provided for me. So what I had to do basically throughout the year was just to create supplementary materials to support the lessons. So these were things like games and little crosswords and handouts that I would give the students and things like that. So the bulk of the lesson planning was already done. And basically my goal and my job was, yes, to be a native English speaker and to correct people's pronunciation and things like that, but also just to create a little bit of fun and a little joy and a little excitement in the class. At least that's how I interpreted it. That's how I approach teaching, just generally speaking. So that was that. And if you are considering going to South Korea or somewhere in Asia to teach English, it's a transformative experience, and I, based on my experience, would totally recommend it. The next question is, I like this one. What do you eat for breakfast? Breakfast is something that I've struggled with over the years. I haven't always been a breakfast eater, and I'm someone who suffers from hanger. I get really cranky when I'm not properly fed. And just recently, I was back home, or visiting my parents in Newfoundland on the east coast of Canada, and I consulted with my friend Stacy. She was also the one who told me about VIPKid in the first place, and she is a holistic nutritionalist. So her expertise has to do with diet, nutrition, and you know, a lot of times how that relates to mental health. And she gave me some really good tips, and I've been implementing them over the last week and a bit, and I'm seeing results. So that is a long-winded way of saying smoothies. Smoothies have been a game changer for me. And I was eating smoothies before, but my friend Stacy gave me some more practical tips of what to put in them. So early on, I was only putting in almond milk, spinach, and frozen fruit. And she said to me, like, yeah, that's great, but there's a few things that can help sustain your energy throughout the morning. And those are things like nut butter, peanut butter, almond butter, things like that. And add in a scoop of yogurt, a little bit of avocado, and some seeds. And what those 4 extra ingredients do, the nut butter, the avocado, the yogurt, and the seeds, they add a little bit of fat and a little bit of protein. And the reason that those things are so important is because it takes your body a longer amount of time to digest fats and proteins. So it stays with you for longer throughout the morning. So I normally teach from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And just by adding those few extra ingredients into my smoothies, I find that my energy sustains a lot longer throughout the day. So that is that answer. The next one, have you had, what is your most embarrassing VIPKid moment? And honestly, when I received that question, thank you for the question, by the way, I was racking my brains. I couldn't think of anything particularly embarrassing that's happened to me. Like, I've never been sick, I haven't thrown up in class, you know, I can't think of anything else that would really be too embarrassing. Maybe some of the things that I do with my puppet, or, you know, when I'm trying to speak to a child and they're not responding, like, I don't know, I don't consider that embarrassing. So that's kind of a cop-out, it's kind of a non-answer, but nothing really embarrassing has happened to me, knock on wood. And the final question here, this was an interesting one. The question is basically, what would you do if you went into a classroom and like the family was fighting in the background and there was all kinds of yelling and things like that happening? I'm assuming that this has happened to you. I apologize, I do forget who sent in that question, but has that happened to me? Not really. It has never been an argumentative thing with the family in the background. Sometimes the family in the background is really loud. They're clanging pans, or they've got music playing, or they're cooking dinner or something like that, or the kid is just in a really noisy environment. And in that case, if it persists, I'll start out the lesson just normally and pretend like it's not happening. But if it does persist and I find it difficult to hear and I can't understand what the student is saying, if they're a high enough level, level 3, 4, or 5, I will ask them, can you move to a different room? Or can you ask your parents to be quiet? Sometimes that works if the child understands, and if not, if it does become a problem, I would just message the fireman and say, hey, listen, trying to teach my lesson, it's very noisy, it's difficult to hear the student, and you know, you're just doing that for the best interest of the student and trying to make the lesson as effective as possible. So to me, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to the fireman and saying, hey, listen, can you get these people in the background just to zip it? So that is that. Those are the questions. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And because this platform is new, the whole Instagram TV thing, I'm just kind of doing some experimenting just to find out what you connect with and what I enjoy producing through this new framework. So I would really appreciate it if you have any feedback for me to let me know down in the comments. And if you have a question, of course, by all means, leave it in the comments and I will try to address it in a future question and answer video. Once again, I am Teacher Michael. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next video, I will see you on the internet. Peace.